Vandana Gunani ji, Additional Secretary and MD, National Health Mission, Shri Vishal Chauhan, Joint Secretary in the Health Ministry, Professor Rajiv Garg, Professor of Excellence and also the former Director General Health Services, Dr. Gauri and Sen Gupta, ADG of the National Program for Healthcare of Elderly, Shri N.B. Mani, DS NCD, and we also have the distinguished presence of, through virtual mode, Dr. Roderico Ofrin, the WHO representative of India, Ms. Nadia Rashid, Deputy Resident Representative UNDP India, Dr. K.S. James, the Director of International Institute of Population Sciences, and I understand that there are many other very significant and very important people who are attending this function and who shall be part of the symposium or maybe the meeting that will follow this brief inaugural ceremony, where I have been very privileged to be part of it and have also been privileged to release the first longitudinal aging study in India, popularly known as LASI now, Wave 1, India's report, and also the executive summary and also the fact sheet, and then another good sheet about good thing about the report, that there are fact sheets about each state. So I think this is a very comprehensive thing that has been done, and we really feel proud about it because it is probably the first and the largest ever survey report probably of this nature being done not only in India. Maybe it's something which we can say that's probably the largest in the whole world. Also, I don't have the data about the whole world, but I feel that it is certainly something very important. We all know that in the 2011 census report, we had a population of for 60 years age and above people. This was about 8.6%, accounting for almost 103 million elderly. And as per the projections that have been given, by 2050 we are supposed to be having this increase to 319 million. And if we study and try to project how many people are we going to have above 45 in 2050, so this number goes up to 650 million. So the data themselves speak for what we should be doing and how much sincere, committed, meticulous and visionary we should be about the scheme of things that we are planning, about our vision and about the implementation mechanisms. So I think this report, and I must thank Dr. K.S. James and all his team members, because I understand that the report has people from NPHCE, IIPS Mumbai, Directorate DHS, and this Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, University of Southern California, National Institute of Aging, and also the United Nations Population Fund India. So it's not a routine report that has been projected or published or maybe brought into public domain today. And when I had gone into the details of how this report, which we say that is probably one of the best or maybe one of the largest report based on one of the largest survey. Technology and the techniques that have been used, they can easily be described and defined as state of the art with you can say there are representative samples of India and all the states, as this fact sheet about the various states also depicts quite well. And this is all by socio-economics spectrum. Then the expensive topical focus on it, the harmonization with HRS, the longitudinal design, the coverage of comprehensive. I think there's a very important thing that is unique about the report, that there's a coverage of comprehensive biomarkers and use of computer assisted personal interviewing. So it's not a routine report. The people are going and somebody is filling some form and then you come out with a report. The parameters around quality control have also been very strictly monitored and maintained. And then there is a contribution about the geographic information systems, which we popularly call as the GIS system. So there are so many good things about the report which have gone into the foundation of actually creating it, involvement of the top institutions and the people within the country and outside the country, and from places even like Harvard and all. So that speaks volumes about the quality of the report. And then the important fact why we should actually have this report, and then ultimately the fact that why it should now be meticulously used to make amends in our programs, to improve them, to strategize at various levels, and to have maybe state specific or district specific strategies, etc., etc. Where, because the report says that 75% of the people, elderly people, they are suffering from one or other chronic disease, and we otherwise we know that we have elderly people around all of us, and we know that they have their problems, but no one has ever either tried to calculate or assess the extent of it, and no one has ever tried to actually go into the nitty-gritty of what it is about. So when you say that 75% of the people in the elderly age group have one or the other chronic disease, and 40% is such a big number that they have one or the other disabilities. And then another big number which was like very means it was like troubling my mind and heart, was that 20% of them are suffering from mental health issues. So these basic data, I think they are so important for us that we need to basically get into all those who are now concerned about the report and what we should be doing about the report, because it has the inputs from 72,250 persons above 45 years. It has, except as was told here in this program, that except Sikkim, probably all the states and the union territories were involved, and 31,464 people are above 60 years, and 6,749 people above 75 years. They were all involved in this. And this is the first time that there is a detailed information on health of so many subjects. Plus, there is information about the biomarkers also. That's a very, very important thing. Information on their family and social network, their incomes, their assets, and all these consumption and all the related issues. And there is a, I think this is a very, very important report, because the data that has been produced here, uh, it is going to help us and guide us, and maybe for the researchers to understand the science of aging, because there is so much which is happening. Because as a science and technology minister also, I know there is so now even things like gene editing and so many things are happening which can uh, delay the progression of the diseases or their appearance in old ages. And we I think should ensure that we provide the best to our elderly people, because they are like god for any family, and they deserve the best possible attention. They deserve our utmost care. They deserve the earliest diagnosis, and once the diagnosis is done, they deserve the best possible treatment, whether it is routine medication or things like that. And that is why, as Vandana ji had also reminded us, that India, which is having one of the most ambitious and probably the most powerful program of the whole world, moving towards universal health coverage, the Ayushman Bharat, and with the component of health and wellness centers there, where we are planning by the end of next year 1.5 lakh health and wellness centers. Almost one third of that has already been achieved. Another one third we are in the, you can say, process of achieving in the next few months or so, because you see support systems for those have already been provided to the states. But there also the focus is on basically prevention and promotive health and positive health, and ensuring that because when Dr. James was giving us some overview, he mentioned about the data around diabetes and hypertension. Because I don't want to, I had means casually seen the report before coming here, so maybe talking in detail about the contents may take a long time. But he also mentioned about diabetes, prevalence of diabetes and hypertension, and he was mentioning something like 45-50% and all. So in the Ayushman Bharat scheme also, there is a very, very specialized focus on screening around diabetes, screening for hypertension, and of course screening for these cancers like cancer of the oral cavity, the breast, the cervix. And now there's a lot of guidelines have been made, especially she mentioned about the guidelines about care of the elderly, which have been very meticulously finalized, and they have now been conveyed to the healthcare workers at the grassroots level, so that at the health and wellness centers also we have now a very detailed exclusive focus for the care of the elderly. And we all know that they suffer from so many illnesses. And even I remember 25 years back as a health minister, I was Dr. Garg can appreciate that well, quite well. He had been in the medical college, a professor in Delhi. That when we had to launch the cataract-free Delhi campaign, it was so shocking that cataract, which is treatable and which can restore anybody's literally lost vision, was people were not even getting this much of basic. As an ENT surgeon, I remember I launched 25 years back the Shravan Shakti Abhiyan, because all the hearing losses that you have because of presbycusis and senile deafness and all these things and so many other things. See, there is already a mention about the mental health, etc., etc. So the senior people, and I always say that this hypertension, and especially the essential hypertension, which is again an aging process. Somebody can have a secondary hypertension because of some ailments in some organs, but the essential hypertension is basically an aging process. And if in a country like India, if we cannot ensure that everybody's hypertension is diagnosed and everybody's hypertension is treated, because the people who suffer from hypertension, and I feel that the programs around hypertension, they need to be strengthened, revisited, and planned at a sort of a movement level, because hypertension, and especially essential hypertension, it actually affects the elderly people. Gradually they have all these ailments involving the heart and other things, and of course there is so much to talk about, because this is some of my one of my very passionate subjects, and I really love this report from the core of my heart, because this is something which is unique, which has happened for the first time. There is a data, and what we may be knowing in general, we know in specifics, and specifics also we know state-wise. So now the interventions and the type of help that we provide to the states in the National Health Mission, we have mechanism to monitor it also, to plan the type of help that we have to supplement year by year, and specific to the program also. So I think all this you see the things that have been put in this report, they need to be very carefully observed by the relevant people, not only here in the department only, even for those who have produced the report, they should also be helping in its. Their job was not only to get the report produced after getting the surveys done. I would suggest that they should all be now actively, from their heart, mind, and soul, be involved in strengthening of the strategies and the plans and the policies for the care of the elderly in the coming years, till you have a new report which gives you something to augment or further strengthen. And lastly, the one fact that gives me a great amount of pleasure and satisfaction is that today's function is not a routine function where some minister comes and releases the report. This function is followed now by very good detailed interactive sessions, where I am told that at least representatives or the planners or the executors of literally 6 national programs involving the eye care or the mental care or other things which are particular to the well-being and the health of the elderly, they are all meeting after this. They are all going to discuss this report, and they are all going to have a hands-on, you can say, approach and a discussion with the people who were instrumental in producing this report, so that immediately they can also plan the augmentation of their already ongoing programs. So that's, I think, the better part of this. One was the making of the report following survey. Another was the release today, but the ultimate part, which is the most important. So we are not waiting and wasting even a minute in initiating on that. So that's, I think, that gives me significant amount of satisfaction. So once again, I would like to thank all of you who are here in this room with me, and of course who are there virtual mode. I can see many on the screen. Maybe I don't recognize each one of you on the screen, or may not have acknowledged your presence here in this very important function. And all those who are going to be part of the following session, I congratulate you, express my good wishes to all of you, and I'm hopeful that this new year 2021, apart from the fact that it brings us out of the miseries that were caused by COVID in 2020, it brings a new ray of hope for our elderly people. I think that's our solemn duty towards them, and that is what we should be planning and working for in the new year. So, thanks all of you once again. Good wishes.